Okay. Okay. Cool. So let's start over. Let's start fresh. This is a new take. I'm very tired. So I have noticed that the way that information about demerits are disseminated to the student body, to the regimental body, has room for improvement. I'm not pointing any fingers, not blaming anybody. I'm only looking to create and talk about solutions. So, with that being said, I have created something like a prototype website that I would love to have incorporated into like the actual website or like the main site or something, either officially or unofficially, something just to help, really like to help because I see, the ideals are cool people. I'm getting off on tangents. Let's focus. I appreciate everybody at the school. I appreciate everything that's being attempted to be done. And, like you said, Commandant Captain Tart, take care of each other. And I presume that includes faculty and staff as well, because, we're all human beings. Like I'm a graduate student now. It's like when I was younger, it's like age was like a more significant thing. But like now that I'm like an adult, it's like I have some friends who are teachers now, so it's like I don't really look at teachers as like this, like we're all people here. You know what I mean? So, with that being said, I see that the demerit system has room for improvement, and I made this little thing to try to serve that need. So just to run through it really quickly, it's like posted on pieces of paper in the lobby in the Bayless building are everybody's identification numbers along with the amount of demerits that they have. Personally, I feel like that's like a operational security issue. I mean, like we just have people's identification numbers posted, like you could just memorize a number and then pop over to the cafeteria and like go get food or whatever. Not that I would do that, but that's just I don't know. I just feel like it's kind of I don't know. But regardless, I mirrored that same thing where it's like you have everybody's number on like a grand sort of board. This is everybody's numbers associated with their amount of demerits. If you want to look up your number, let's say whatever your number is, like 18, you can find your specific number, search through the large list of numbers and find your number. For accessibility's sake, nice highlighted, automatic highlighting. That's cute. Let's keep going. So now here's my idea, right? So it's like let's say you have an amount of demerits next to your number and you want to investigate why you got those demerits. Like can we get like a breakdown of your demerits, reasons, something like that, some details, some clarification. So from the main demerit board, if you want more details on like your personal demerits, let's have like a little My Demerits tab, right? My Demerits tab, you can see, a breakdown of your demerits, when they were assigned, how much the individual offense was, et cetera, right? Um, and then we can keep going from there, right? So I was thinking next, like, let's do like a little email icon pop up next to like one of the rows if you want to send a complaint or talk about like your demerits, like, hey, this is not accurate, da 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 da. I want to talk about this. Like, let's say, like, okay, like, let's say, click on this one. And then boom, you click on that little email icon, and then like a little email like stencil will pop up and gives you an opportunity to like send to leadership, like, hey, this is not accurate. And then you have the opportunity to attach proof, da da da. da. Like this will pop up, like, da 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 da. You can attach proof. Okay, cool. And then you send it, message sent automatically. And then we can go over here to our pending appeals tab, and we can see, here are our pending appeals that we um, just wrote out. And, we can have administration check on pending appeals, address them, read, unread, something like that. That wouldn't be too difficult to implement, right? So, super simple solutions. I think super simple, but also effective, practical. I think that's really important. Um, and moving on from, the main board, moving on from My Demerits, moving on from the appeals tab, I think the ED opportunities tab is also really interesting. I am also involved with the journalism club. And in the journalism club, we were talking about ways of getting the student body, the regimental body as well, more involved in the community, more involved in like community outreach. Um, so we are already involved with a number of programs and foundations that are uh, assisting with those that are food and housing insecure. I think this would be a really cool way of sort of like streamlining or creating some sort of like pipeline. Hey, we have a need to sort of quote unquote discipline students, and we also have uh, a need of assistance in the community. You know, it seems like this seems like a really easy connect, right? And there should be a way to count or assign the number of demerit hour work offs based on different forms of participation, either on or off campus. Um, and I think there's a lot of room for improvement in terms of logging and reporting and documenting uh, one's uh, demerit work off hours, for lack of a better term, because there's a lot of mix-ups that have been happening, and I can address this in person. Um, at least with me personally, where I worked off, I have, you know, done an appropriate number of work off demerit hours, and it wasn't really reflected properly, and then I got written up again. And we could talk about that. Actually, maybe I should just talk about that now. So let's talk about that because I feel like that's kind of important. Um, Along and within this whole like um, ecosystem of conversations regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion, da 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 da. I think this is where like the rubber meets the road when we're talking about like application and why DEI is valuable. Um, to allow certain perspectives that may not have been had given the general overall populace. What am I talking about specifically? I'm talking about how I feel as if the way demerits are handed out so exuberantly and liberally, like Laffy Taffy candy, I think what is ending up happening in practicality, like in practical in real life, I feel like it's ending up being a disproportionately um, it's disproportionately impacting students of certain socioeconomic means. What do I mean by that? I mean, there are certain students who, because of their rigorous academic load, don't have the bandwidth to, dedicate 5, 6, 7 hours to, working off ED on like some random day during the week. And ED opportunities are only so frequent during the week, right? So the most that they can do is like 1 hour here, 2 hours there, like max 4 hours or 5 hours per week. That's max for certain people, especially in the engineering fields. And then it's like, they're doing what they can, and then they turn around, they get like another pink slip for something ridiculous. And it's like they end up in this like, you know, um, what's the word? Limbo. They end up in like this like demerit limbo where they can never dig themselves out of this hole, and they just continuously like rack up points for things that are sort of silly and, I might argue, inconsequential. Um, that ends up being a problem for students of certain socioeconomic means when you factor in the fact that scholarships divvied out to students to assist with cruises takes into consideration the amount of demerits that certain students have. So now it's a situation where it's like, you know, and this is not like this is not me freestyling. This is not really like theory. Um, I've been a good student. Like I had my first sort of like demerit work off situation recently for what I would say really should not have happened because I was given demerits for a reason that would have been able to been masted off at mast. And this was about 2 weeks ago. And sorry if I'm starting over my words, I'm very tired, but like this was about 2 weeks ago. And then I went to Mass and then nobody was there. So, and then again, I think that just kind of speaks to sort of like, I don't want to use the word disorganization because I feel like that might be a bit accusatory, but I think it speaks to maybe us not all being on the same Wi Fi. And I'm attempting and I'm engendering to create solutions to fix that, right? So, okay, so let's keep going. So, I wanted to go to Mast about like 2 weeks ago to mast off these demerits because I don't even want demerits on my uh, record whatsoever. Like, I don't have a problem with working off demerits. I don't have a problem with doing that. But like, I was concerned that even if I worked off the demerits, they would still be like visible on my account or something. Like, I don't know, because I just know I need those scholarships, right? So it's like, um, so I went to Mast, nobody was there. Okay, like I can't allow these demerits to just keep cooking on my record forever. So I'm like, okay, let's just go work it off, whatever. So now I go to ED hours for the first time. It's cool, hey, I'm interacting with the bad kids, hey, like this is a new experience. And I'm having these conversations and I'm realizing like, yo, there are some students that are like really just caught in like demerit limbo, like I said before. They can't they can't dedicate more than like 1 or 2 hours per day. And then they get like, one pink slip per week, and then they're back to like square one, right? That doesn't really seem fair to me. Um, and then again, it's like, I raised this concern with like, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna bring up any names, but like I raised these concerns with certain IDOs, a certain IDO specifically, and he's like, oh, yeah, I remember like my first cruise, like I forgot to apply for scholarships. I ended up having to like pay out of pocket, but it's like da 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 da. And the way he said it, it kind of just like rang to me like, oh, well, maybe these cruises are not that expensive. Let me ask how much he paid. How much did you pay out of pocket? I was like 12 grand, 12,500. And I was like, no, 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 no. And he was just saying it like it was no big deal. Like, this is such a fascinating situation where like you have to remember like not everybody's from Long Island. Like not everybody has a beach house. Not everybody has somebody in the family who owns a boat. These people were like there are people walking around the school who have money and can afford to just like give like $12,500 like it's nothing. That's really like I'm really happy for you. But other students not so much. So other students are seriously banking and counting on these scholarships and the idea that like, you know, a demerit pink slip that was assigned or given out for something as like, you know, trivial as like having gray socks. It's like, okay, whatever. You have to assign demerits because it's your job, it's your responsibility, but you're gonna give like a 15 shot for socks that were not quite the right shade of black. Let's get into the specifics now. So, okay. Because I don't want to sound bitter, because I'm not bitter. Like I said, like I have so much love and respect for everybody on this campus, but I just like I said, like this is not just about me. This is about systems. Um, Recently we received a email notification from Mr. O'Neill mentioning that, students that received like 2 or 3 pink slips um from the week prior, like just this week prior, they can go ahead and rip up 2 of those pink slips because um, you know, there was like an email broadcast or a band broadcast, mind you, like organization. There was some sort of broadcast in the previous week that I suppose Mr. O'Neill forgot the clarity on or something. That was something along the lines of, it's mandatory to go to at least one ED day the previous week if you have over a certain number of ED hours. Um, Now, I think it was like yesterday or like 2 days ago. I'm in my room. And what's that sound? I turn around, like a bunch of like pink slips slide under my door. And I'm looking through the quote unquote accusations, and it's like because I didn't go to quote unquote mandatory ED day on Tuesday, then I didn't go to mandatory ED day on Wednesday, da 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 da. And it's like maybe he misunderstood his own demand. You didn't have to go to every single one. You only had to go to one. But because I went to the one on Friday and I didn't go to the ones earlier in the week, I got written up for all those days, all those days, all those days. Now it's good that Mr. O'Neill caught himself and made the correction and sent out that subsequent, announcement that you could rip up the previous pink slips. But I'm pointing out the fact that such an announcement had to be made in the first place. And we are so liberally and exuberantly dealing out these pink slips, boom, 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 15, 15, 15, 15, 15. Again, I just think it speaks to, I think it just speaks to certain things that at base are not evenly received. They're not evenly received because certain students can just be like, I don't care. I don't really have to worry about if I get a certain number of demerits under like 115 or under like 200 or whatever, because, that's not going to happen for so and so many weeks or so and so many months. And, you know, I'm not concerned about getting kicked out of school or anything like that anytime soon, and I'm not really concerned about getting scholarships because I can pay out of pocket. Certain students can afford to say that. Seriously, a certain student said that to me. So, that's just my concern. So, with that being said, since I'm not just a complainer, I'm also about solutions. I started creating this like prototype to assist with, at the very least, the process of um, tracking, um, tracking, um, uh, challenging, objecting to, communicating about, all of these different things um, that I feel could sort of like help make this whole process more efficient and more clean, and ultimately um, save certain students from being burned or falling through the cracks, right? Um, this is my TED talk. This is my soapbox. So yeah, I really just hope that you take this into consideration, Captain Tart, Mr. O'Neill. Like I said, like I have nothing but love and respect for everybody. I have no desire to like throw anybody under the bus or like make anybody look bad. Like everybody's really just trying to do their best. But it's like in the process of like everybody trying to do their best, like there's some real consequences. It's like real consequences for things that are not so consequential. And, you know, like in this process, I feel like we can do some real good here. Like if we can figure out a way to sort of like connect volunteering opportunities in the community to, you know what I'm saying? Like increase the opportunities to work off ED hours, um, give allow there to be more, ED work off hours opportunities over the weekends, things of this nature, just give more opportunity. We're hitting a bunch of birds with one stone, kids are able to work off their ED hours. We can have a positive impact in the community. Let's talk about that. Um, maybe let's be careful with how I talk about that. I have begun to have some communication with people off campus. Um, and word on the street is the whole community is kind of afraid of this campus. I don't mean to use hyperbole, but it's like, people have said to me that are not students that don't attend this school. This might be a bit of a tangent, but just to, it's like people don't really see the students. They're all sort of like either trapped on campus or they get in their cars and leave. They don't really have much local community involvement. The fences are sort of like intimidating and they're very high. A lot of people don't even really know that anybody can come on this campus and it's kind of like public. It's not really like public, but like, you know. Um, so I feel like we need more community involvement. We don't want to have people be like scared of us and sort of like intimidated by us and not know what's going on. There's a lot of things that we can fix here, you know? Um, so yeah. Uh, I started my academic career, at least at the graduate level, at the college level, studying computer engineering. So I like to believe that I'm a half decent programmer, and I would love to give more internships on my resume anyway. So throwing this out there, if uh, if you would allow me to, um, you know, work with IT or work with whoever I need to work with in order to get this prototype more fully fleshed out as a way to maybe burn off my ED hours, I couldn't say that that would be a bad deal either. I would I would love to like, manage or run or look over the demerit sort of system for students. I could definitely do that, and I dare say I might be able to do it a little bit better than whoever or whatever systems are running the show currently. Um, so yeah. So yeah, that was my little presentation. I hope you liked it. Yeah, thank you. Let me know what you think.